It all began with a lamppost, or more precisely with the legend surrounding it, which Lara recounted, her eyes glinting with feverish excitement. Strange, anomalous stories drew her like a magnet. She didn't necessarily believe them. She loved the hunt, the thrill of uncovering the hidden, digging through yellowed archives in the regional library, eavesdropping on old Mrs. Silpo, cataloguing every whispered tale of forest spirits, drowned brides and cursed places. It was her hobby. Like collecting stamps, but instead of stamps she gathered legends. Today, however, her collection had a centerpiece. "Imagine this," she whispered, lowering her voice to a conspiratorial hush, though no one else was around. "I found something incredible, about a ghost town practically behind our backyard." Dimka, our mutual friend, seemed more interested in the promised barbecue than in the story. He lazily swatted a mosquito from his shoulder. "Ah, Lara, if this is another ghost bride story from the peat bogs, I'm out." We'd already unraveled that tale, a local moonshiner. Zinka hiding her stash in a nightgown. Lara squinted in offense. "This is different, serious. The town was called Agropolis. Started in the late 80s as a model science city. Advanced agriculture, genetic engineering. It was meant to be the crown jewel of Soviet science. And then she paused, holding the silence like a scene in a theater. One night it simply ceased to exist." "What do you mean?" I asked as remnants of beer swirled in my glass. Melted? Teleported to Mars?" "Anton, enough sarcasm." Lyra shot me a stern glance. "It was erased from maps, from records, as if it had never been planned." "The residents?" "They just vanished. Some say they were secretly relocated under NDAs, others that a catastrophe struck. Most bafflingly, locals seem to forget it ever existed, as if selective amnesia had cleansed their memories." Dimka, the pragmatist engineer, yawned. Believing only in measurable, calculable realities, he had no room for the metaphysical. "Lara, come on. Late 80s, glasnost, perestroika, chaos in administration. Project cancelled, paperwork lost, funds pocketed. Old ladies filled in the gaps with legends." "Wrong," she nearly shouted. "There's one artifact left, the only proof, the lamppost. Ordinary concrete, standing alone in a deserted kolkhoz field. No cables, nothing. Yet old-timers swore it lit itself at night, a faint sickly yellow glow lasting till morning. That moment something stirred behind our flimsy fence. We froze.
Мозг категорически отказывался принимать окружающую действительность. Мы стояли у этой облезлой стелы и молчали, каждый пытаясь найти в своей голове хоть какое-то рациональное объяснение. Галлюцинация, массовый гипноз. Может, мы просто перегрелись на солнце, и сейчас видим коллективный сон. Димка первым вернулся в реальность. Прагматизм, видимо, является лучшим средством от паники. Бесполезный компас был убран, вместо него в руке появился телефон. Экран загорелся, показав полную батарею, но в углу, где обычно отображался уровень сигнала, зияла пустота. Нет сети. «Ожидаемо», — пробормотал он больше для себя, чем для нас. Попытка включить GPS ни к чему не привела. Спутники не обнаруживались. Телефон превратился в красивый, но бесполезный кусок стекла и пластика. «Нужно осмотреться», — сказал он уже более уверенным тоном. «Стоять здесь бессмысленно. Необходимо понять, где мы находимся и как отсюда выбраться». Его спокойный тон подействовал на нас с Лерой отрезвляюще. Мы переглянулись и кивнули. Идти вглубь этого мертвого города было до дрожи страшно, но оставаться на месте было еще страшнее. Мы двинулись по широкому проспекту, и первое, что поразило, это тишина. Абсолютная. Не слышно ни дуновения ветра, ни шелеста листьев. Деревья стояли как пластиковые. Ни гула машины, ни даже отдаленного лая собак. Ничего. Звук наших шагов по асфальту казался оглушительным, неуместным. Мы инстинктивно начали идти тише, ступая на цыпочках, будто боялись кого-то разбудить. Второе — это сохранность. Город не выглядел заброшенным в привычном смысле этого слова. Не было разбитых окон, мусора, граффити на стенах. Все было целым, только каким-то стерильным. На идеально чистых лавочках не было ни пылинки. На детской площадке качели висели абсолютно неподвижно, без малейшего скрипа. Казалось, будто город не умер, а впал в летаргический сон. Или время здесь замерло в тот самый момент, когда все исчезли. Мы зашли в подъезд первой попавшейся девятиэтажки. Дверь была не заперта. Внутри пахло бетоном и больше ничем. Никаких привычных запахов жилого дома, готовящейся еды, табачного дыма, бытовой химии. Лестничные пролеты, перила, почтовые ящики — все было в идеальном состоянии. Ни пыли, ни паутины. «Давайте проверим какую-нибудь квартиру», — предложила Лера шепотом. Мы поднялись на третий.
On a dirty napkin he sketched a crude cross. Stand with your back to it. Face north 54 steps forward, counting aloud. Then backward. Don't look, or you'll get stuck. Neither here nor there. Got it? A mad key from a drunk old man, a key. The next day we rattled along broken roads. Sun blazing, dust in the open windows. Lara checked her notes. Agropolis erased from history. Dimka produced an old brass compass, 3 tactical flashlights with batteries. No signal but light and navigation. We arrived. The field stretched, overgrown. And there it stood, the lamppost. We aligned, back to the post. Lara behind me, Dima behind her, counting aloud. The world narrowed to our voices, the sway of weeds. 54, stop, concrete beneath our backs. Backward 54 steps. Time thickened, air grew viscous. 54, stop, back to the post. Breathless, frozen, we dared a glance. The field, the post, the sun, gone. Before us stretched a dead city. Grey panel buildings, perfect streets, frozen playgrounds. A monochrome haze hung low, thick and lifeless. Shops with neatly stacked cans. Schools with chalkboards marked May 22nd. Toys scattered mid-play. Apartments preserved, no dust, no decay. Perfect but wrong. In one apartment a plate of buckwheat sat uneaten, tea still steaming. Lara whispered, they just vanished. Midday. We wandered, hours lost. Hunger gnawed, unsure if food was safe. Dimka rationed energy bars. Compass useless. Phones dead. Time itself warped. And then we noticed them. Faint silhouettes, flickering figures, watching. Not alive but not gone either. Eyes followed us from distant streets. We ran back to the post. Counting backward, hearts pounding, world bending and whispering. Last step, concrete beneath our backs, and the field returned. But we weren't the same. Agropolis had seeped into our minds. The city was inside us. From somewhere deep, Petrovich's rasping voice echoed, "You let the genie out, but the genie is now inside you." And in that moment I realized leaving Agropolis was one thing, but escaping it might be impossible. I'd been grinding CSGO all day. Gunshots cracked in my headset. My fingers moved on autopilot, and the world outside had shrunk to a glowing monitor and a crosshair. I was the last man standing, 2 enemies left, my heart pounding. I rushed a sight, tossed a flash, and then the screen died. Everything went black. Monitor, router, desk lamp, gone. The apartment was swallowed in silence. What the hell? I snapped, throwing the mouse at the wall. Perfect timing for a blackout. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight. The beam cut across socks on the floor, empty energy drink cans, and the clock on the wall. 1:13 a.m., dead of night. I peeked out into the hallway, pitch dark. Outside the window, the whole neighborhood was out. No lights in any building. Dead quiet. I messaged the guys on Discord. Power's out. No clue when it'll be back. The replies came fast. You ruined the match, dude. Buy a UPS already. I sighed, locked my phone. Maybe I should sleep. But then my stomach growled. Chips all day hadn't cut it. I headed to the kitchen. The flashlight swept across faded wallpaper and the usual mess. Crumbled chip bags, plates with crumbs, soda stains. The fridge wasn't humming anymore. The silence was broken by a sickly sweet stench that made me gag. On the counter lay a raw chicken I'd pulled out that morning, meaning to cook. I'd forgotten about it, buried in the game. Now it was slimy, edges blackened. The smell clawed at my throat. Grimacing, I shoved it into a trash bag. Added empty cans, wrappers, hardened pizza crusts, cigarette packs. Tied the bag tight. That's when my grandmother's old words echoed in my head. Never take the trash out at night. You'll invite misfortune. I almost laughed. Superstitions. I pulled on my old jacket, shoved my phone into my pocket, grabbed the bag and headed out. The stairwell was cold and hollow. Paint peeling off the walls, concrete floor icy under my feet. My footsteps echoed. Each step felt heavier. On the landing I paused, listening. Silence pressed in. Then faint, distant footsteps. I froze. Hello? My voice cracked. The sound stopped. Nothing but the weight of my own breathing. I shook it off and kept moving. Down to the dumpster, tossed the bag in. The stench clung to me. I turned to head back. That's when I heard it. A whistle, faint, sharp, slicing through the still air. Not from the street. From the darkness behind the dumpster. My blood turned to ice. I spun around, phone trembling in my hand. The beam of light caught a figure. At first my brain refused to process it. It was human, sort of. A twisted silhouette hunched over, flesh hanging in strips. Blood dripped, pattering softly onto the concrete. Its head tilted at an impossible angle, empty eyes fixed on me. My throat locked. I stumbled back, heart hammering. The thing took a step forward. A wet squelch echoed as it moved. Then another step, closer. I turned and bolted. Up the stairs, taking them two at a time, breath ragged. Behind me, the whistle rose again, closer now, sharp and piercing. I burst into my apartment, slammed the door, locked it. My chest heaved. My flashlight beam shook across the room. Then, knock, slow, heavy. The door rattled. I clutched my head. No. The knock turned to pounding. The whole door shook on its hinges, and through it a voice hissed, raspy, guttural, words I couldn't make out. Suddenly the pounding stopped. Silence. I dared to breathe. And then, bam! The door exploded inward. I screamed, and everything went black. I woke up in a hospital bed. White ceiling, steady beep of a monitor. My body ached. An IV dripped beside me. A nurse noticed me stirring. "You're lucky to be alive," she whispered. "The police found you unconscious in your apartment." Door torn off its hinges. Later a detective came in. He asked what happened. My voice shook as I told him. The power outage. The trash. The thing. He listened silent, eyes fixed on me. Then he leaned closer and whispered, "You're not the first. Same night. Same street. People say, it comes for those who take out the trash after midnight." He straightened, left the room. And I lay there, trembling, the words burning in my mind. Never take the trash out at night.